Mitchell presiding. You may be seated.
All right, before I bring the jury in, to the audience in particular, for either side, particularly family members, if you're going to have difficulty controlling your emotions, I need for you to step out now. Outbursts will not be tolerated. You can bring the jury.
You ready, Your Honor?
Yes.
The jury is now entering into the courtroom.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you reached a verdict?
Yes.
State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 1 of the indictment. State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 2 of the indictment. Ma'am?
Court's in session.
Ma'am? Ms. Johnson, is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to thank you for your service this week. You've done exactly what the court asked you to do, which was to sit, listen to all the proof, and come to a decision. You are excused. Thank you.
Jury is excused.
Thank you.
Excuse me?
Go ahead, John. Court still in session.
Tearful, watching Hernandez Govan hug his attorneys, fight back tears, not guilty on both counts.
Yeah, and we had talked about prior to this, Hernandez Govan was offered the opportunity to take a plea deal. We wondered if he might rue the day that he did not accept the plea deal. We know the answer to that now, no, because he has been found not guilty of the murder of rap star Young Dolph and the conspiracy to commit the murder. Basically, the prosecution said he was the one who set it all up. The jury said no.
The jury did not agree. And what's interesting, too, is the prosecution had testimony going for about 2.5 days, and the defense, they only had about an hour where they presented their case. Apparently, that hour was enough to convince the jury that Hernandez Govan, not guilty of organizing the murder of Young Dolph. I think a lot of people may be surprised at this outcome.
Yeah, surprising because there is a self-admitted killer who was the star witness, Cornelia Smith. He was instrumental in the conviction of Justin Johnson, the other gunman in the killing, and he was the star witness in that case, star witness in this case, completely different outcomes.
And as we're watching live in the courtroom, Hernandez Govan wiping away tears, hugged his two attorneys, lifted one up in the air, and you know, this, we saw him walk in earlier this morning and wondered, is this the last time he'll walk into this courtroom as a free man? He'll walk out as a free man.
He will, and that's him there. You can see him smiling ear to ear. He hugged one, I'm assuming it's someone from the legal team, so hard I thought he was going to tackle him.
Exactly.
Exhilaration, obviously for him, because he was facing a life sentence in prison. And now he's going to walk out of here today as a free man.
And let's put this in perspective. Young Dolph was killed in November, almost 4 years ago. It took a year before the indictment of Hernandez Govan, and this was after some others had been arrested. He was, at the time, called the mastermind, and then later the organizer of the hit on Young Dolph. Today, a jury rejected those claims. They found him not guilty of conspiracy and not guilty of murder in the case of Young Dolph. We're seeing his side over there. We don't know if any of Dolph's family members are in the courtroom, but we have Jeremy Pierre in there. At some point, we'll find out and get emotion and reaction from the other side.
Yeah, it was about an hour and a half ago, maybe a little more, when we had DA Steve Mulroy sitting here with us. We asked him how he felt about this case, and he said he felt pretty good about it. They had put on a strong case. They felt good about it.
We also asked him about...
They apparently did not know what the jury was. He said you can't know what a jury's feeling.
And that's fact. We've seen that over and over again. One thing that the prosecutor said, District Attorney Mulroy, is when we asked him about Cornelia Smith, the man you just mentioned, Ernie, who was instrumental in the conviction of Justin Johnson a year ago. He was the star witness in this case. And so he has not made a plea deal yet. There's been one proffered or offered. The district attorney would not say what that is. I wonder if this jury decision will impact what he's offered in exchange for his testimony. I guess it's something we'll find out in the coming days.
That's Hernandez Govan. If you're just joining us, he was facing life in prison, charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder in the death of rap star Young Dolph. The jury has found him not guilty on all the charges, and he's going to be a free man.
A lot of folks may be upset at this outcome. They may be surprised, maybe not. If you've been watching the testimony on the FOX13 YouTube channel, we've been carrying this live from the very beginning, gavel to gavel. FOX13's Jeremy Pierre has been in the courtroom all week. He's going to join us in a few minutes. And it's interesting to see everybody gathering around Mr. Govan right now, his attorneys. I can only imagine the relief he must feel today at the not guilty verdicts on both counts by the jury.
And this has to make you wonder. We heard the defense attorney talk about that Mr. Govan was not the person who ordered this.
True.
We talked about, you heard the name often, Big Joke, a young man who has passed away, who was killed.
Who was murdered in February of last year.
Will never stand trial for this. So you wonder if Hernandez Govan was tangentially involved at all. Did he have anything to do with this? Wonder if we're going to hear from him, but he is not going to be found guilty of anything having to do with this. That's off the table now.
And one thing that Govan's attorney said in his closing arguments and repeated vehemently, he said his client's a fall guy, and he had no part in hiring the killers, even though Cornelia Smith said, I believe he said that's where he got the money. And they talked about text. We had Cornelia Smith's girlfriend on as well, but the defense attorney said nah, he's the fall guy.
Yeah, and he also made a big point about the fact that the prosecution did not reveal the content of the text messages themselves. There were
Exactly.
some phone records that showed people calling people and perhaps texting each other, but no text messages. He was making a big point about that. And he was indicating that the prosecution knew that someone else was responsible for setting this up, and it wasn't Hernandez Govan. That's what he was indicating in that court.
This morning when the district attorney, Steve Mulroy, was on Good Morning Memphis, you asked about that. Yeah. You said, is everybody, and I believe actually, if we're outside the courtroom, folks, that the district attorney is about to talk. Are we set up outside? Okay, so we'll have that for you in a minute, but this morning, Mulroy said we are confident that we had the evidence to prove our case. Not enough for the jury, though. 2 not guilty verdicts.
Yeah, so he's...
so here we are. We're set up now. Let's listen to Steve Mulroy.
This is Steve Mulroy after the verdict.
Tend to make sure that Cornelius Smith, who has been cooperating and has admitted his role in the murder, will also be held accountable. All the people that are alive today that were involved in Young Dolph's murder are people that we have done everything we can to hold accountable, and will continue to do that. I want to point out that the family obviously was very distraught, did not want to speak to the media, but they did say that they didn't blame the trial team for this result, although they're disappointed in it. They thought the trial team did everything they could, and I want to say that the trial team did everything they could. They were extremely well prepared and worked very hard. You never know what a jury is going to do. We have to respect a jury's decision, even if we strongly disagree with it. And we will continue to do everything we can to make sure that everybody responsible for Young Dolph's murder is held accountable.
What do you think fell apart in this case? What do you think could have been proven more to show Hernandez Govan's
This whole
involvement?
business of Monday morning quarterbacking, it's so difficult without being able to speak to the jury to know what caused one result or caused another. All I'm prepared to say is that the trial team was very well prepared and did an excellent job, and the system is what the system is. I will get going. We'll talk later. Okay.
Interesting. That's District Attorney Steve Mulroy saying, gotta agree with the jury, even though you may strongly disagree with their verdict.
I think a lot of people probably will start to question if some of these trial teams are well prepared. This is the second high-profile case going back to Tyree Nichols and those officers. It was not guilty on all counts for all of those officers, and now
shocking to
not
so many.
guilty on all counts for Hernandez Govan in this case. Are they prepared?
I think people probably
truly
are already
prepared?
asking that. The DA said that the family is too distraught. They don't want to talk to the media. I'm sure at some point we'll hear from them later, but I imagine they are. You know, this is the man who prosecutors have long said set up the hit on Young Dolph in November of 2021, and the jury says no. The evidence did not show that. He was found not guilty on count 1, first-degree murder, and not guilty on count 2, conspiracy to commit murder.
Yeah, and just back to that notion, the public asking questions. There was video evidence in the Tyree Nichols case. There was an admitted killer in this case talking about who set this up. Pictures and the like, and
some
not
text
guilty
messages.
on all the counts.
Let's go live now to Jeremy Pierre. He's been in the courtroom from the beginning. Jeremy, in your estimation, where did the prosecution fail to give the jury enough information to convict?
Well, you know, we just didn't see messages directly between any of the parties involving Hernandez Govan talking about specifically a murder or money, the money that was going hand to hand, the money that Hernandez Govan was said to have given to Cornelius Smith. We saw that in the last day of testimony when the defense brought up that Vivian Ferguson, the neighbor of Cornelius Smith, who was said to have received about $500 for Cornelius Smith, she denied ever receiving that money. We also want to go back to the breakdown of the calls, the text messages. That was strong. We're talking about the defense bringing that up to part. Now, we just heard from DA Steve Mulroy as to the trial team. I asked him, what does he think could have been proven more? Does he think anything could have been proven or shown Hernandez Govan's involvement in this entire ordeal? Now, he answered that. He called it Monday morning quarterback, and you just don't know what a jury is going to do.
Jeremy, about the text messages, do we have it correct that the prosecution didn't show the content of the text messages, and that's what the defense attorney was talking about? Was that the issue?
Absolutely. You just didn't see the content of those text messages, the messages specifically between Hernandez Govan, Anthony Mims, Big Jook, as well as Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith. You just didn't see it.
Did the prosecution ever explain why we didn't see that, why the jury didn't see that?
They didn't go into specific detail as to why we didn't see it, but again, that was the strong point of the defense, proving that.
And Jeremy, while we were watching the verdicts being read, the camera was focused on Hernandez Govan and his team. What about the family on the other side of the courtroom? What was their reaction, the family of Young Dolph?
As you can imagine, this has been a nearly 4-year journey for this family, completely distraught, heartbroken. But again, on the other side, Hernandez Govan, you saw that embracing his attorneys as well as other family members for Hernandez Govan inside of the courtroom. A sigh of relief for him, but definitely a heartbreaking moment for Young Dolph's family.
Yeah, it definitely is. 4 years later, they had hoped for this conviction, perhaps.
And Jeremy, as far as we know, other than Cornelius Smith, that's it in terms of the people who the investigators and the prosecutors say were involved in this, because there is no one else left. Is this the end once they adjudicate the case with Cornelius Smith?
Yeah, that's it, because everyone else they mentioned in this trial, they're either dead or already in jail. Dead or already in jail. This is the closing chapter, or the end of this book, with Hernandez Govan walking out of this courtroom today as a not guilty man.
Yeah, free from these charges of murder and conspiracy, and I know you're looking to make sure he doesn't walk out of that courtroom. Yes, go.
He's actually preparing, I believe, to walk out of the courtroom in a matter of minutes. Matter of fact, he's going to walk right through this door right here, Hernandez Govan, with his attorneys. We see it right now in just a matter of minutes, possibly. But let me tell you, this right here is the end of a book. A heartbreaking book, because again, this is something that's been going on for nearly 4 years.
Well, I guess it's the penultimate chapter, because we still have to deal with Cornelius Smith, but this is a big chapter in it for sure. Be interesting to hear what Hernandez Govan has to say about all of this.
Jeremy, are you and your photographer able to go into that courtroom right now? Because I think he is talking to some folks right now, Hernandez Govan. So we can walk
at this point
in and this is live TV, folks. This is how we do it. Hernandez Govan.
Nope. At this point in time, the courtroom is closed for business, I believe, at this point in time. But you see it right here live on TV. We should be expecting Hernandez Govan to come out in a matter of minutes. That trial team. Okay. All right. So there you have it. Right there. We're going to stay situated right here as that prepares.
As they're preparing to go out. So what we had heard throughout the case is the prosecution and defense had blamed tension between the record labels, Young Dolph's record label, PRE, and the record label CMG, that was a big part leading to the murder of Young Dolph. Govan's attorney repeatedly insisted that his client was the fall guy and had no part in hiring the killers, and we kept hearing Big Jook. Big Jook was involved and ordered the hit. Big Jook was killed in February of last year. He's not around to face any charges or be questioned.
Yeah, it's rather disturbing, too, some of that narrative around the notion that an executive at one record label had put a hit out on acts from another record label, and there were bounties on people's heads, and these two, Cornelia Smith and Justin Johnson, were going to carry out the hits on these people. Just the entire thing was disturbing to hear.
In fact, one question, I believe it was a judge asked, so this was like a laundry list of people's names and how much the bounty was on each one, and Cornelia Smith basically answered yes, and the biggest bounty was on Young Dolph. So we're going to listen in. If you just joined us, Hernandez Govan, once the accused organizer of the hit on Young Dolph has been found not guilty on both counts. Let's listen.
State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 1. We, the jury, found the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 1 of the indictment. State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 2. We, the jury, found the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 2 of the indictment.
So that was a moment, no doubt, that Hernandez Govan had hoped and prayed for the past few years, and certainly past few days, as his murder trial started Monday, ends in not guilty verdicts here on this Thursday.
And remember, in the last couple of weeks, there were some pretrial motions, and we were live out there, and they would not allow us in the courtroom. We thought maybe he was going to make a plea deal, maybe, and that did not happen. We see he gambled. He said, "I'm going to gamble," and I'm sure the thinking was, "I didn't do anything. I'm going to gamble and send it to a jury." A jury found Hernandez Govan not guilty on both counts.
It seemed like he had a pretty sharp legal team, because his attorneys obviously would know that if the state isn't showing the content of the text messages, what exactly is in there, what exactly was said, who said what to who and when, we might have a strong case that my client didn't do this, and they rolled the dice and they won big.
They definitely did. The verdict they wanted on both counts. You know, and so he's been fighting this for at least 3 years. It was a year after the murder of Young Dolph when he was indicted. And so ever since then, he's been in and out of the courts over and over. And here we are today. What do we have, like a 3-day trial? The jury deliberated for, what did you say, less than 3 hours, less than 4 hours?
Yeah, right around 3, less than 4 for sure.
Before finding Hernandez Govan not guilty to both counts. One of those counts was murder. He would have spent life in prison, up to life in prison if convicted. So we have Jeremy Pierre outside the courtroom. We've talked a little bit about that. He talked to the district attorney this morning when he came out. And as Jeremy said and the DA said, not going to Monday morning quarterback. But when asked where they went wrong, he said his team presented a strong case.
Yeah, and he said that when he was here with us earlier this morning. He said he felt good about the case. The the prosecution attorneys did a good job presenting the evidence, and they thought they were going to have a different outcome. They thought they were going to get guilty pleas. They did not.
Someone who's been in the courtroom the entire time is Jeremy Pierre. He's outside the courtroom now. Can you hear me, JP? Wanted to ask you, were you surprised by the jury's verdict?
Wasn't. I wasn't. Again, we've been through this, the 3 days, basically seeing how this all played out involving Hernandez Govan, how he made calls between Justin Johnson, Justin Johnson, Cornelia Smith, Anthony Big Jook Mims, but we did not see specifically what was said during or hear what was said during those phone calls. Also, we did not see in those text messages what was specifically written in those text messages. We know that investigators proved that after the murder of Young Dolph, after the murder, Hernandez Govan and Cornelia Smith and that girlfriend of Cornelia Smith, they did meet up at Pressure World to possibly get back a phone. But again, the girlfriend took the stand and didn't really go into detail as to what was exchanged during that meeting at Pressure World, what was given, what was said, because all she knew is that Cornelius didn't have his phone, and he was possibly going back there to get his phone, but we don't know if he ever got that phone, really. And that wasn't proven as well.
Jeremy, did I have it right? I was under the impression that in this case, the jury could have reached verdicts on lesser charges. Was that your understanding as they went into the deliberations?
Yeah, they could have reached a verdict on some lesser charges. We're talking about manslaughter being one of them as well, and second-degree murder as well. So, but you heard it less than 20 minutes ago. They came back not guilty on all of the charges. They didn't find him guilty of anything involving this case.
Yeah, this was a complete victory for the defense and a complete loss for the prosecution in this case, just like the Tyree Nichols case for the Shelby County DA's office. I don't want to call it embarrassment. I don't want to characterize it that way, but I know a lot of people watching this might very well call it that. But it was a big loss, to be sure.
Yeah, and one thing about it, Shelby County DA Steve Mulroy, he said out of this case they did get a conviction, and they did also get cooperation from Cornelia Smith, and they're going to hold him accountable. Now, holding him accountable, what does that look like? That was another question we wanted to ask DA Mulroy, but we didn't get a chance to do that because, again, the family was coming out and they just didn't want to be filmed coming out of that courtroom, so he moved out of the way. But again, what does that look like? What does holding Cornelia Smith look like? That's one question we are working to get answered from DA Steve Mulroy.
And we asked him about that this morning at 9:15 when he was on Good Morning Memphis. He wouldn't tell us the terms. He said he had a number in mind. And I know you were asking him that when he walked out of the courtroom. We didn't hear his response. What was he saying at that point?
Well, we didn't get the chance to ask him. He didn't get a chance to answer that question. But again, that's something we're working to get answered right now.
It's interesting, too, because he was the key figure in the conviction of Justin Johnson, who was convicted last September of murder, and he's in prison for the rest of his life. His testimony apparently didn't sway the jury enough today in this week for Hernandez Govan, but they did keep drawing the connection that at one point said, if it weren't for Hernandez Govan, Cornelia Smith would have never been hooked up to Big Jook, who reportedly, according to the witnesses, ordered the hit.
Yeah, not so much Big Jook. He wouldn't have been connected to Justin Johnson because, again, Justin Johnson and Hernandez Govan, they exchanged phone calls before this November 17th murder a lot. And Cornelia Smith also exchanged phone calls with Hernandez Govan a lot. So Cornelia Smith, again, never had direct contact with Anthony Big Jook Mims. The only two people in this case that had direct contact with Anthony Big Jook Mims is Hernandez Govan and Justin Johnson. But Justin Johnson didn't take the stand. Cornelia Smith did.
Were they ever able to prove or testify that Cornelia Smith received any money? And if so, from whom?
Well, he said he did receive some money, and we heard it even in Justin Johnson's trial that he received $800, a total amount of $800 and some drugs. But how that money got exchanged, who did the exchanging of the money. We never quite heard that. We never quite heard that in this case. One thing about it, that was the point of the defense bringing up Miss Vivian Ferguson, because again, we've heard this before, that a neighbor received some money for Cornelius Smith. That's not the first time we've heard that. We've actually heard it several times, and bringing up that neighbor who reportedly received the money was a big play for the defense, because it downplayed that conspiracy and that exchanging of money between Hernandez Govan and Cornelius Smith.
Well, Jeremy, just to bring the viewers up to speed here, you're standing in front of that courtroom, and Hernandez Govan is in that courtroom, so we anticipate that he's going to be coming out momentarily, and we anticipate, of course, you will effort to get an interview with him when he does. So just to bring the viewers up to speed what's happening, that's why you're there, that's why we're kind of waiting here, and that's why you keep sort of turning around looking at the door. So we know that that will happen once he makes an appearance. But back to this case, JP, Cornelius Smith, defenses will try to discredit witnesses, especially the prosecution's star witness. Did they do that in this case? I know this man's a self-admitted drug user. Did they do a job on him, a number on him, and discrediting him?
Yes, they did, and even the point of the prosecutors bringing up that girlfriend as well, because the girlfriend, that testimony, the defense showed or played the initial interview where she said one thing and testified to another on the stand, and understanding that Cornelius Smith said he received money and it was exchanged, money was exchanged hand to hand and also through another party, through that neighbor, Vivian Ferguson. But that right there downplayed the part of the money being exchanged and the communication and what was testified, what was initially told to investigators, and then what was said on the stand.
You've done a great job in that courtroom every day providing us updates. We're gonna listen to some sound from District Attorney Steve Mulroy right after the verdict was read. Hernandez Govan found not guilty on both counts. Let's listen.
Of Monday morning quarterbacking, it's so difficult without being able to speak to the jury to know what caused one result or caused another. All I'm prepared to say is that the trial team was very well prepared and did an excellent job, and the system is what the system is.
That was the district attorney right after a jury found Hernandez Govan not guilty. A surprise to many who've been watching this trial of murder and conspiracy in the murder of Young Dolph almost 4 years ago.
Yeah, intense exhilaration on his part as he's hugging members of the legal team. They got the jury to believe their story and not guilty on all counts.
The family is distraught. The district attorney said they're too distraught to speak to the media. Perhaps that will come later. But we're still following this, folks, and we'll bring you updates as we get them. We do have other stories we're working on today, so we'll get to that quickly, too. And one is this. We had an early morning house fire. We learned that it was probably a case of arson, and some dogs were in the house at the time, had to be rescued by firefighters.
And Fox 13's Chelsea Chandler went to where the fire happened over on Crystal Avenue and explains more on a notice from the Memphis Animal Services.
Just before 4:30 this morning, Memphis Fire did receive a call that this home in the 3000 block of Crystal Avenue in Binghamton was on fire. Now, very quickly, crews were able to get that under control, and sources on the scene told me it was quickly developing into an arson investigation. That has now been confirmed, and that fire started in the attic, causing about $20,000 worth of damage. Now, the good news is there was no one in the home at the time of the fire. You notice there are belongings